started in Minneapolis, where we discovered that only 3% of the street addresses had over half the crime. So the next thing we did was to identify about 100 hotspots there that were getting many hundreds of crimes a year, and we gave half of them about 2 to 3 times as much patrol as they'd been getting in the past. And we saw that crime went down by about 2/3.
OK, for those who aren't familiar with American geography, is it a fair comparison to make with Greater Manchester, that area of the United States?
Well, I think that the economy was never quite as industrialized as it is here. The grid system of the streets, the layout of how people use streets could affect the concentration of crimes. But the basic pattern where people are drinking a lot in a lot of pubs concentrated in a small area like the Print Works across the way here and so on, that probably, based on what I've seen in Manchester, that's going to hold. And we do know that there's heavy concentrations of crime in very small places. And this is a big difference in terms of how hotspots have been interpreted in the past in Britain. I think Prime Minister once said all of Bristol is a hotspot, but that doesn't tell you exactly where to go patrol. And this is really about sort of highly precise keyhole surgery rather than the old method used 100 years ago and cutting open the whole body. Now we minimize the amount of wasted effort in order to get the most crime prevention.
Unless, Professor, you're in an area that no longer has a police officer patrolling the beat because he's been given a hotspot elsewhere and the resources have been focused at the expense of where you live.
Well, it wouldn't work that way if where you live doesn't have any crime. And part of the problem with the American theory of police patrol, which was called omnipresence, you create the image that the police are everywhere at once, is that 75% of the addresses in any city will go years without ever having any crime. And to put a lot of police where there's no crime is like giving medicine to people who aren't sick. So if you want to get the best cost-effective results from having a police force, you want to, I think, try to polish this, try to refine it, any business is going to try to do better next year in its manufacturing process than it did this year. That's what this is about. It's trying to improve the basic idea of patrol.
Does not the crime, though, just move elsewhere? The criminals recognise that they are in a hot spot, they see your high-profile police presence, and they go and commit their crime elsewhere.
Well, the leading journal in criminology just published a review of 75 tests of the displacement hypothesis from CCTV and street lighting and a whole bunch of other things. In general, they find you don't displace crime. If anything, you diffuse the crime prevention benefit in the surrounding area. Crime goes down as well. But never before has a police department tried to test both the reduction of crime in hotspots and the displacement hypothesis, which is what Manchester's now going to do. And all over the world, from Australia to the United States, people are going to be watching for the results in Manchester because it is going to be a breakthrough.
It's a big risk, then, isn't it, to take? I mean, for the people of Greater Manchester, if this goes well, terrific. But if it goes wrong, you're playing with the lives of many millions of people.
I wouldn't say that there's any risk, given the fact that current patrol strategies allow police to go anywhere they are inclined to, whereas what this is going to be testing is a new idea of scripting where they're going.
Okay.
In both cases, you're going to have equal number of patrol minutes across the city of Manchester. There's no withdrawal of patrol. What there is a refocusing, a concentration in certain places, and to see if you get better results with the same amount of money for the time of police officers being put where the crime is rather than where the crime isn't.
Did any other force express an interest, or was it offered exclusively to Greater Manchester Police?
Well, Manchester started this. In fact, they are leading now a national program in the UK that has already brought in other police agencies on other kinds of experiments. It's called the TEST program, and the basic idea is that everything in policing should be treated with the same level of testing that everything in medicine has been treated with. And so the more...
My question is, did other forces look at it and say, "Whoa, no, thank you very much, go and test that elsewhere"?
No, we've actually... I can't name the other major force in the UK right now that is looking very carefully at replicating this one. There are some other experiments, like in Staffordshire, they're going to be doing a test modeled on this one with a different crime problem. So I think that what you're going to see is that Greater Manchester Police have been leading the other police agencies in the UK into following this way of trying to improve what they're doing.
OK, we'll have to leave it there, but fascinating to follow this. Professor, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.